Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. I've got to show you the status of the world's finest mandolin ever built by a human, because this is the last time you're going to see it before I stain it. I haven't put the binding on it yet, but now keep in mind that's wood binding. If I put the wood binding on and then stain this, the wood binding is going to, you can't keep it off of there. It's impossible. So I'm going to stain this before I put the wood binding on it. And hopefully, if I get that done here fairly quickly, I'll show you what that looks like. All right, I have the Phoebing's brand new bottle of yellow leather dye. And I know so many people just don't want to see me even dye it at all. They want to see it left natural, but sorry, it's going to be my mandolin and I'm not going to leave it natural. And the reason is it just doesn't look as good as you think it does. I mean, it looks pretty nice, don't get me wrong, but it looks so much better when you bring out the different aspects of the wood, the different, I don't even know, the curls and all those things. I just take a regular shop towel like this and I divide it into fours, like so. It gives me plenty of options for colors. And then I just dip it in this, and it doesn't take a lot, just like that. And then basically I start in on this like so. And yeah, yellow looks really bad at first, but it's the one I pretty much coat the whole instrument in. I was hoping the little white would go away better, more than it's going away, but you know, it is what it is. In hindsight, I probably could have cut that out of there. I didn't think I was going to have enough material, so I didn't cut it out, the white part. You know, it's just a cosmetic thing. It's not going to affect the sound or anything. But in hindsight now, I kind of wish I would have cut it out. Although, had I cut it out, I wouldn't get my little grumpy snowman right there in the middle. Eye, and then the little frown there, mouth. He looks like a little grumpy snowman or a little grumpy penguin or something. Anyway, we go ahead and we put this yellow on here. Now the yellow isn't gonna stay. It looks like you're ruining it, obviously, but I'm not. The yellow is to bring out the highlights of the wood and the different curl and aspects of the wood, and it will make them show through a lot better. I'm trying not to get it on the actual rose, but I'm trying to get up close to the rose. And I go ahead and I put it on the whole instrument pretty much. And the reason is that the browns will go over this and cover it, and you really won't even hardly be able to tell it. But where you can see through the browns, it will highlight the wood again, highlight the grain pattern. So you can see there, it's really starting to show off how much curl is in this wood. I think I was fine doing that on the back, but when I got to the top here, I've decided I'm not ready to put the stain on the top, because I really do need to level this out better and get rid of all the glue that's on here. So I'm gonna have to back up and punt. Well, my friends, you probably saw in the last clip that I stained the back of this yellow. And then I stopped because I needed to sand the rest of the instrument. I had forgotten that I had spent a ton of time sanding this back. Hours upon hours upon hours. And now when I look at it, I still can see a spot or two that needs more sanding, like right here. You know, there's just a spot or two. But it's pretty good, it really is. This is the hardest wood I've ever sanded in my life, bar none, in terms of trying to get it perfectly smooth. Most other woods, including other curly maples, you can sand much faster. Anyway, I spent a long time sanding these edges, and they feel real smooth, and I don't see any scratches, but whenever you stain it, something comes to light. But it's been a couple days since I worked on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and get back to the staining now. Let's move on. I guess since we did the back, we might as well go ahead and do these sides. Boy, they really are curly, that's for sure. And now here's the top part that you get to look at all the time. And I tried to pick out what I thought would be really pretty for that top piece, and that looks really nice. You know, it's just like everything else I always say, you always want more. As nice as that looks, yeah, it could look a little bit more, but it looks pretty good. I've been debating on when I put these point protectors on here, if I'm going to put one on this also. And I think I'm going to. I really got that matched up pretty close, but it's not perfect. I'll be honest, it's very close, but it could be a little better. So in order to get rid of that, where you can't see that or say that about that it could be a little better, I think I will just go ahead and make a point protector for that as well. And it will also make it match the rest of the points better. So, I don't know. We'll see when we get to it. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do that, but I'm leaning that way right now. I'm going to go ahead and do this again because I think it's got, you know, it's got sawdust and different things on it now at this point. So, I think I'll just wipe it down with this one more time. I'm trying to get it up close to the flower, but not get it really too much on the flower. And it's difficult to get that all up in there and around there and get that color evened out around that flower. I gotta be honest, that's one of the hardest things about staining this. Some people have said don't stain, you know, don't color the flower, but sorry, I'm probably going to do that. I am probably going to color it. And in this case, this will be the first and only one I've ever colored yellow on the rose on the back. All the rest of them have been red, but because this one has a yellow flower here, this will be yellow. I say that, I can't remember if I did red or yellow on those last ones that had yellow roses. I really don't remember, but anyway, this one's going to be yellow. And now I guess we can do the top. And for those of you who are wondering if I have lost my mind by just making this thing solid yellow, what I have found is that the yellow brings out the highlights in the curl and stuff, and we'll tone it down with some browns and things. I'm not planning to make this real dark, but on the other hand, you know, it'll change a lot after we put the next colors on it. So in one way it would be kind of cool to just have a yellow mandolin, but I don't think we're going to end up there. Now that yellow did stain this shell, but that should be fairly easy to get off there. I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. Okay, well, I'm going to contemplate, but I think my next move is to put the other colors on. Well, as I had shown in a previous video, probably in a shop talk or somewhere, I had to say goodbye to my old friend, that large bottle of dark brown. I had that large bottle for probably 20-25 years. Finally used it all. So I bought the small bottle this time. I didn't see much point in needing the large bottle because I don't think I got 25 years left. This can make a nasty mess all day long, so you really want to be careful with these things. So I'm going to set it over there out of my way. Hopefully I'm not going to knock it over. And what I'm going to do is go around the perimeter of this. I have to be careful because I don't want to get it on my flower here. Right now I would say this dark brown to me doesn't look quite as dark as the other dark brown, but that's just a quick assessment here. I'm not too sure. And most of you are probably still saying, oh, that looks horrible, he's ruined it. But these are alcohol dyes, alcohol based. You can actually use water on them too. I use the alcohol because the alcohol doesn't raise the grain of the wood too much. It seems to dilute them really well. And you can see here that I'm slightly blending this into the middle. And I'm not adding any more dye to my rag because I don't want it to get darker out in the middle here. Fortunately, I don't know if I have a large container of my denatured alcohol. Right now, it looks like this is all I got. The top of this can is all rusted. Boy, it's a mess. Well, I thought I had alcohol in this. Yeah, it's ruined. It's no good. Well, as sometimes plans go, gonna have to back up and start again on this because I don't have any alcohol. Now that's not a problem. This isn't going to be a problem. I can come back with alcohol at any time and do what I need to do. It'll work, or at least I'm 99% sure it will. So I got to get some alcohol before I can continue. Well, I've decided since I don't have any alcohol, might as well just go ahead and put the brown in the other places at least. Get that much done. This will look real nice here, and once we get the alcohol put on here, I think I'm going to have to make a trip to the store to do that.
Bill Monroe is the father of bluegrass. He's the one that gave us all this joy.
The one thing that stuff always reveals is the little flaws, like there's some glue here, glue around here, more glue, you know, and I sanded till I was blue in the face, so I thought the glue was gone. But obviously, it's not. So I have more sanding to do. Well, you can tell that I've been doing a lot of sanding. I sanded it really well with 220 and got out anything I could find. And now I'm sanding it with the 320 to try to get it just as perfect as I can get it. Yeah, 320 is a little overkill on most woodworking projects, but on something like this that's going to be scrutinized, you need it really good. I really don't want to be able to see any sanding scratches, marks at all. It was difficult getting all the glue out of these tight places around this shell. That's where most of the glue was when you're putting all that shell in there, glue's just going everywhere. And the problem is you think you get it all off there, but you never really see it all until you put the stain on, and then bingo, you can see it. But it's not necessarily bad. You can see it so much better that you can get it off much easier. I think I see some more around here. I hadn't looked at this that close yet, but there's more here, so I'm going to have to scrape that off. And what I do, because it's so close to the binding, it's almost impossible to get it off with sandpaper. You just have to scrape it until you get down to the wood, and you try not to scrape the wood. It's not easy. Places like this where you're going to cross the grain, it's even harder, because if you do hit the wood, it really makes a mark. A lot of detailing to do. I will just keep doing it, and I'll show you when I'm ready to stain it again. I've sanded far enough that I think I can try the color again, and we'll see how it goes this time. I'm going to start by putting the yellow back on and just coating the whole thing with the yellow again.
He picked up an old Gibson mandolin and formed a band called Bluegrass Boys. He's known far and wide for his picking, and we've all tried to copy his style.
Well, it looks good right now. Let's see how it looks after we put the brown back on it to see if we can still see spots. Shook the brown up again really good just to make sure that it's blended well, because it doesn't seem to be as dark as previous dark browns. I can do it 2 or 3 times and I think it might get darker with each coating. I know some of you don't want it this dark even, but it's nice to have the outer edges pretty dark. I may change my mind. It may be dark enough. I really can't say till I start spreading this around. And like I said, I'll have to get alcohol before I can do that. So Yeah, that's pretty good. I can, still see a spot or two up in the scroll area. It's very difficult to get it perfect. It's pretty good though. It's getting much better. I see a little bit of area right here that I'm just going to have to do sanding on. I don't think there's glue there. I think it's just, where I scraped the glue the last time. It didn't quite get as smooth as I thought it did. So we'll work on that. I'll have to use the 220 on that to try to cut it. It might be glue, I don't know. Boy, it's difficult. It's really difficult. I'm scraping with the grain, so hopefully it'll stay smooth and get whatever that is out of there.
Well, now for those of you who like to hear it, here's old JR to give it a try.
Just a lot of detail. Again, I don't think I'm going to film any more of this. I'm just going to keep doing all this super detail until I'm fairly satisfied, and then we'll go to the next step. It's several hours later. I've been to town and back, and I now have some alcohol, denatured alcohol, and I have yet to open it. So let me get her opened. Good, it's not got one of those goofy little plugs in it. I can just start using it. So all I do is I put alcohol on here, and I typically start in the very middle and work my way out. Now that this has had a lot of time to dry, I might have to do a little bit of extra work here to make this happen, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I mean, if worse came to worse, I could sand it off. It actually sands off pretty easily. I'm not too worried about getting it up on the flour too much now with this. This'll be, thinner for one thing, and that'll help disguise the background there. And I think I can still dye the flour itself with no problem. Getting this plenty wet with alcohol and just working on it like so. And I'm going to take some of the yellow off of it here in the middle. Try to lighten it up some. Get a clean one here and start in the middle and try lightening it up some more. It really does look pretty though when you can start to see what kind of color it's going to have and everything. All right, I'm just going to move around and work on different parts of it here. And here you can see how I'm kind of fading it. Sliding up into the dark, you pick up the dark and move it down to the lighter areas some. Same way back here. You can start to pick it up and move it around, and it becomes, you can see how it just basically fades in. It's not too bad, I always want better, and I'm going to get better before I'm done. You just got to start somewhere, and that's kind of where we started right there. I'll take some more of this dark brown and put it around the outer edges of this back, because I'm still not quite happy with this. I want it a little darker around the edges especially. We'll just get a clean towel now. Again, I just divide it roughly into fourths like this, just approximately. That just makes them go further for the kind of work we're doing here. I start in the middle, lightening it up and moving toward the outside. And once again, I'll try to highlight certain areas, fade it mostly. You just don't want to leave any abrupt changes. You want to try to get rid of any lines and just make it look like it's one color's fading into the other without any ugly lines or anything. Yeah, there's quite a bit here. This had sit and dried for such a long time. I think that this is a little bit harder than my normal, but it's working. Well, I'm really not super pleased with this. It's okay. It's not terrible. It's just not exactly what I was going for. Anyway, we'll just keep doing it. I'm going to work on the top front here and try to see what I can get with that. Alright, I'm going to put some more dark brown around the edges. Whoops. I just kind of made a little accident there that might be kind of fun. I put a lot of alcohol on this brown. Didn't mean to do that. I just kind of forgot which one I had in my hand and which thing I was going for. So, I don't know. I'm just going to go with it and see how that kind of works. I think that's a little more than I need, so I'm going to just get some clean alcohol now. Again, starting in the middle and kind of working my way out and seeing how it evolves. It's not really moving like I was expecting it to move. It's working, but it's making me work for it, I can tell you that. Frustrating. Work this hard on something, you really want what you want. You want to see your vision come to life, and this is not exactly my vision. It's not far off from my vision, it's just not my vision.
Well, old Bill is really getting up there, but his music's as fresh as can be.
That's not too bad. It's still just not quite what I was going for. Kind of like to highlight these things I carved a little bit, and they're not really highlighting very well. Well, as I have said before, it kind of is what it is. You can't make Mother Nature cooperate when she don't want to, that's for sure.
One day he'll pick up in heaven, then we'll all hear that mandolin ring. So next time you're out in the evening, look and see if that old moon is blue. If it is, you'll know Bill is happy. He'll be picking some old bluegrass tunes guitar. Hear that guitar ring, don't you love to hear Bill sing? That old bluegrass sound makes me smile. And while I'm on this earth, I'm gonna pick for all I'm worth before I'm picking in that sweet by-and-by banjo.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it an 8, but it's just not exactly what I was going for. Well, you can see my process. I'm going to keep doing this same thing over and over until I get it where I want it. Well, I'm out here in the metal shop getting ready to spray some clear lacquer over this to seal it. I have airbrushed it, and I think it looks really nice. But I want to seal the whole thing, the edges and everything, before I go putting the binding on, because I know how, the glue and everything will make that color run unless it's sealed. And it'll get on the white binding, and so I don't have many options here. I just have some clear shellac in this, and we're going to give it a shot and see how well it goes. I have newspaper on the inside here, so that should fix the overspray. Should have wore a respirator. I thought the air moving out here enough, I wouldn't need it, but getting a little bit shellac air in the mouth here. Oh, I guess like ABE, I could filter it through a cigarette, I think that's going to be just fine. I think I've got enough on there to seal it properly. Looks pretty good, actually. Kind of went on pretty nice. So that ought to make the oil varnish go on easier too, I think. Guess we'll move on to the next step. Well, my friends, if you have been following my daily vlogs in addition to the actual series on building this mandolin, you will know that about now is when I discovered that this is actually very red rather than brown. Well, anyway, I'm waiting on your decisions to tell me what to do. Meanwhile, I am going around and scraping all of this area. This may be a futile effort if you tell me to sand it all down and start over. It may even be a futile effort if you tell me to try to turn it more brown, because this will get covered again. But if I leave it as is, which is kind of where I'm leaning at the moment, then I need to get this cleaned up so I can start putting binding on it. I am so frustrated I really can't even put it into words. It just seems like I don't have any options for things to go the way I want them. They always seem to have to go differently, and it's not just me crying poor me. It's pretty much that way on everything. I don't show that most of the time, but for me to get something to work, I really have to work at it. I'm not kidding you. You think this all comes together nice and easy. You'd be really surprised if you could see the behind the scenes, how hard I work on stuff. It seems like pretty much everything just fights me to the nth degree. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just me or my attitude or what it is. Typically I can scrape stuff like that and it comes right off without any problem at all, and this is not coming off for nothing. It's just like there's something fighting me on getting this thing done. I don't know why it's not coming off, but it's not. Well, that's working a little better. Typically those X-Acto knives work just fine on this, but in this case this is working much better. So I'll keep doing that, keep cleaning that up, and I'll show you the next step. I didn't really explain why I'm scraping this off and cleaning it off. It may be obvious to some of you, but I'm sure to some of you it's not. And that is, I'm trying to get it down to bare wood so that when I put the new wood binding on this, that the wood glue will have the best chance of holding it forever. I don't want it to come loose in 50 years or 10 years. If you glue it to this shellac finish, I'm sure the glue would not be nearly as strong as if I glue it directly to the bare wood. So that's why I'm doing this. Well, I got great feedback on the mandolin, and the vast majority said go with it as it is. Yeah, well, sorry if it sounded like I was whining, but when you work this hard on something and then you find out that it's not what you thought it was, that can be very upsetting. Because you just got to understand, you see the little bit of time on the video screen, you can multiply that times about 20 on the hours that I put in on, not only working on the instrument, but producing the videos and all the other stuff behind the scenes. But there is a lot of time on this mandolin. I'm not personally too concerned about the color as far as me, because like I said before, the color to me doesn't matter that much. But I don't want it to be some hideous color that everybody looks at it and goes, well, I don't like that. But it was 9 out of 10 of you, I'd say, at least, that gave me very good positive feedback. And I appreciate that, and I'll just go with it as it is. And because like I said, to me the color is not that terribly important to me personally. It's more important that it be acceptable to the mass. And I guess it is. So I'm going with it. Well, I'm still cleaning these edges. That's taken me several hours today to get them cleaned up. I've got the bender over there heating up, and then I'm going to attempt to start bending the binding, and I guess I'll do the back first because it'll be a little bit easier, I think, than the front. Plus, it'll give me a little practice with this binding that I have in order to make sure I get it really, really good when I get to the top. Because, of course, that's the one that'll be seen the most. But either way, it has to be good on both sides. And I'm kind of dreading it, I'll be honest, because bending that curly maple is not at all easy to do. It's not easy even that much. It's really hard all the way through. And I'm just hoping I can pull it off. We will find out. I'm going to give it my first attempt here at bending this. I don't honestly expect it to go well. But you got to start somewhere, so here we go. Bender's up to temperature, so I'm going to go ahead and spray this down and soak it down pretty good. I get it good and wet. I'm going to try to bend one of the hard bends first, one of the small radius bends, in other words. Wow, that bent actually pretty well. Of course, it's separating. You can see there that it is actually separating. You know, you kind of almost expect that, because when you put that much heat and moisture and everything, no matter what kind of glue it is, it's probably not going to hold up. And I did use the Titebond 3 on this to try to give myself the best shot. That's pretty good. It's not terrible. Have to do a little more than that though. I think I'm going to go get some water to soak it in. See how that works. Well, I soaked it down some more and bent it some more, and it just separated, but you know what? It didn't break, so I think I'm okay with that. I think I can make that work. I'm kind of surprised that the wood that bent the best was the maple in this case, because usually it's the sycamore bends really easy. Well, this is actually bending much easier than I expected so far. I'm not complaining. It's just never been like this before. Maybe I'm finally getting a break. Either that or it's setting me up for the big letdown. I'm always skeptical. I can't help it. Wow, that's looking really good. I'm just amazed that it's working that well. Okay, I'm gonna go with it while it's, what they say is strike while the iron is hot. Well, this iron's hot. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I'm really kind of amazed how easy this is actually, or at least pretending like it's going to bend. It usually doesn't do this. If you're hearing amazement in my voice, that's because it's genuine. It never does this. Just going to size it up here. Cut it off a little long here. That should be fine. That's pretty good. Yeah, if it wasn't for that little bit right there, it would be perfect. And even that's not terrible. I'm going to call that as good as it gets. For that kind of binding, you really don't know how tickled that makes me right there. That's pretty good. Might as well go ahead and try to bend the hard piece here and get it over with. If I bend all the way around here and come back here, might as well try it while it seems like it's working. Here we go. I'm gonna soak it down a little bit this time. This is gonna go right around the very tight curl, I hope. He says. Now I just got to make sure I bend it the right way. You don't want to get this to bend and then have it backwards or something. It's popping pretty good on several places, unfortunately. It's cracking left and right. The question is, can I salvage it? That's the question. If you can pull them back together and glue them, it won't matter if they crack. But that's the problem. Can I do that? And I don't know if I can, honestly. I think that's going to be a tall order. I kind of think I can push those back together, see I glue them, and I kind of think it'll work. But boy, yeah, you're asking for trouble doing something as crazy as this. I mean, I knew it was going to be crazy, to be honest with you. Yeah. I didn't really expect it to to be easy at all, so I'm sure I'm going to pay my dues on this one. That's what I guess it was doing. It was setting me up for failure here, because this is not going nearly as easy as that first bend. I might get it. I don't know. It's possible, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to turn my attention over here and see if I can't figure out something. Well, I've got some glue on here. I have got this sort of kind of bent. Boy, yeah, it's just impossible, really. It really is. It probably seems like I say that all the time, but this is just impossible. It really is. Honestly, I think this will be the biggest miracle I've ever pulled off on an instrument if this works. I'm trying to make it work, because it needs to. I need it to work. Guess I'm going to have to wash the glue off and try to accomplish the same thing with CA glue, something that'll hold it there permanently right on that corner, and then I can go around it with the regular glue after that once it gets anchored, because I'm going to have to anchor it, and I can't anchor it with these wedges. They just pop out. I don't know. I really got my doubts that this is going to work. I got my doubts big time, and of course when you get started, the first thing that has to happen is this has to be clogged. I wish I'd had the camera on for that, because Murphy's Law struck again. Yeah, I pulled that little cap off the end, and I swear to you, it must have had pressure built up something. It was just like a fountain of super glue. It sprayed all over the back edge of this. This whole thing is just covered in CA glue. Just literally sprayed up like a fountain. It just sprayed up and went all the way over here. I've never had that experience before, but I'm glad I had it now, so I can say I've done everything. So when you're working with CA glue, my suggestion, and seriously, because I've had it happen several times now, is not so much what this just did, but I've had the glue flop up some way or another and hit me in the face. And I pretty much always wear safety glasses now, so I would recommend it highly. You'd be surprised how quick it happens with this stuff. And when it happens, I mean, you don't have it, you know, there's no ducking. It just hits you, you know, just instantly. Just like that there, it just sprayed everywhere and went everywhere. Just fortunately, it didn't hit me. Well, it did on my hands, but not too bad. I just don't know if I can make this happen the way I want this to happen right here. Really don't know. I honestly think this is almost a lost cause, I think. Whatever I put in here, I'm afraid I'm going to glue it to the mandolin, and I don't want that. I guess I'm going to have to stick that in there, stick this tool around here like that, and that looks about as good as it'll ever look right there. And now if I can reach my accelerator, and I'm a little bit afraid to spray the accelerator on this shellac, but I don't think I have many choices. I've got to get that anchored, because I can't go any further till that's anchored. It won't let me pin it in place, if you will, or wedge it in place. I'm a little afraid that that's going to get glued in. It didn't. Alright, so now I'm going to try to put some more wedges in here, just more or less for decoration, because they don't seem to be holding much. I'm cutting this one off to make it tighter in this spot. Pretty tight, maybe it'll stay there. This is getting sticky, this shellac. I was afraid of that. Yeah, that shellac, boy, it's not very durable. Right, so I'm going to wedge those in there as good as I can. While this is still wet, and I'm going to wet it down some more, I'm going to put some water on this binding to try to soak it down a little bit more. I'm going to start trying to bend this around here. I really think I got my work cut out for me on this project here. I'm not saying it to make it dramatic. I seriously think if this works, this will be one of the biggest miracles I've ever pulled off on an instrument, because this is not wanting to cooperate even slightly. So I really got to wedge it around here and force it around here. I can't Yeah, I can't just bend it. Right there's a crack in it, so if I don't get that crack closed up, it's not going to look good. It would have to be right there on the edge of that clamp. It's just not going to give me a break at all. Well, it's giving me plenty of breaks, it's just that they're not the kinds of breaks I want. For what it's looking like, it's looking okay. I just hope it keeps looking okay. I can see one break there, but just going to have to find a way to camouflage it later, I think, because I don't think I can make that one close up the way we're doing this at the moment. There's another one there that's not going to close up right now either. I don't really know what to do here. You know, like, what am I going to... I guess I'm just going to have to wrap this. I don't know what else I can do here once I get this. Yeah, you can see how it's not springing around. Oh my goodness. I'm just hoping this bin winds up right there. It did when I measured it before, but who knows now. All right, I'm trying another tactic here. I don't know. I gotta get this at least to this bin right here, or I'll be tearing all of this back out. If I don't get it at least that far, it's not going to be pretty. Well, sort of kind of got it. Kind of amazed that I got it that good. It's not great by any stretch, but it's sort of okay, I think. Now I got to find some way to wrap it. I thought maybe I could try rubber band, or maybe this stuff. This stuff's a lot stronger, so I think I'm going to try it because I need the strength is what I really need. Go all the way around, it doesn't really matter as long as I got something pulling here. Well, I think at least I've got it under control for the moment. I think I do. Yeah, this is where if you had another couple of hands, this would be a little bit easier. Not easy, but easier. I'm pulling just as tight as I can pull it, really am. May have to go all the way around here this time to get it to anchor where I want it to. See, I'm trying to, every place there's a bend in the, or a break, I'm trying to get a real strong one across that. This is not good here. I don't have a place to anchor to other than here, and I'm afraid I'll pull that up, so I guess I'm gonna just have to pull it around. Don't have too many choices sometimes. And here's another break right there that I gotta get tight. Have to go around this way. Whoa, that wasn't good, but I don't think I heard anything. It's just a noise. That's about as good as it'll get, I think. That really is tight. I hope it's gonna work. Yeah, I guess I need to pull it around this piece here and get that piece pulled in there as tight as I can. To do that, I know you can't really see all the things I'm doing here. I didn't have another hand to move the camera, sorry, but I had to get it where I could hold it. And you really don't have a good idea how hard I'm pulling on this. I'm really pulling on this rubber band hard, and this rubber band can take a lot. You know, it's a tire inner tube, and it can take a lot. And I'm pulling hard. And that's about as good as it gets. And you think, well, hard enough that it could crush the mandolin. There's that concern. It definitely makes you wonder. But fortunately, I'm pulling around all the structure there. There's just a lot of structure in that area. If I was putting just that much pressure on the top, I'd be a little concerned. I'm wrapping it around here a bunch of times. That'll lock itself into place, and then I can turn it loose. Sorry about the poor job of filming that, but I had to move it, and I couldn't move the camera when I was moving it because I'm seriously telling you, I was pulling as hard as I could pull on that rubber band. Because if it if you don't, it won't get tight in the joint. He asked me how I know that. It won't get tight. And I had to have it tight. And yeah, these are really tight. You could easily just take any one of those and pick up the whole mandolin with it, because they're tight. All I can do now is wait it out and see what it looks like, and then I'm hoping that where those little cracks and breaks are, I can push those together with a piece of metal as I CA glue them, and they'll glue back. I think they will, but only time will tell that. It may be that I'll be ripping that whole thing back out of there. Boy, I hope that doesn't come to pass, but we'll have to wait and see.